I was supposed to be delivering soup. Not the sexy kind. Just powdered, probably expired. Just add water. Soup packets for some backwater moon with more craters than customers. My ship's AI rerouted me through a mild anomaly zone, which, in Sasbot's snarky voice, meant, "You're either getting promoted or disintegrated. Place your bets." Everything went dark, then sideways. I crash-landed in the ass end of a floating derelict station orbiting a dying red star. Half the lights flickered like a cheap horror vid, and the only functioning system was the station's emergency voice alert, which calmly repeated, "Biological containment breach. Seek immediate pairing." Comforting. I was just trying to find a functioning COM port. Instead, I found her. 13 feet of muscle, metal plating, glowing tribal markings, and skin the color of moonlight through wine. She was frozen in a massive cryopod labeled in alien script, something like, "Caution, thermal fertility lockdown. Do not defrost without certified bondmate present." Naturally, I touched the button that said, "Manual override." In my defense, I thought it said, "Open locker." And also in my defense, that is a terrible translation. The pod hissed open. She rose slowly, steam cascading off her armorless shoulders. Her eyes locked onto me with a mix of confusion and hunger? She sniffed. Literally sniffed the air, then me. Then said in a voice like velvet and steel, "Pheromone compatible. Heat cycle initiated. Bondmate present. Begin regulation." Wait, regulation of what now? She stepped out of the pod, towering above me like a heat-seeking Amazon missile. "My temperature has exceeded 240 standard units. Prolonged isolation risks combustion. Your body is appropriately warm. So you need a blanket? I got a foil one. It's in my medkit, somewhere." I patted my pockets like a panicked raccoon. She didn't laugh. Instead, she crouched and pulled me against her midsection, like a radiator hug, except everything was too firm and smelled like cinnamon rage. "I'm Jace. I deliver soup. That's all I do. There's been a mistake. I think the bondmate you want is someone with medical training. Or fur. Or both." Her tail coiled behind her. "You will serve. You are the cure. I'm a space courier with a bad knee and a protein bar in my sock. I'm not qualified to regulate anything, except maybe my caffeine intake." She leaned in, and her body heat nearly singed my eyebrows. "You are male. You emit thermal resonance. That is sufficient." I twisted my head to yell at Sasbot through my comlink. "Ship! Emergency protocol!" The bot responded coolly. "Protocol acknowledged. Logging human mating dance. Shall I broadcast live to station archive? I am not dancing. I am being aggressively spooned by a sentient furnace." Skara, yeah, she introduced herself mid-cuddle, started muttering something about ancient rites of alignment. I tried wriggling away. She purred. That's when I realized this wasn't some aggressive misunderstanding. This was courtship. And I was the accidentally abducted spouse. She picked me up, like full lifted me off the floor, and wrapped me in what she called thermal embrace posture 1. I called it being burritoed by a sentient sauna. "Please," I gasped, face squished against her very warm collarbone. "I think this is against, like 5 intergalactic treaties." "You are resisting. That proves viability. Rejection is foreplay." "No. No, rejection is not that. Not in my species." I struggled, tried to grab something for leverage, but the cryopod was slick with condensation and poor life choices. She whispered, "Your reluctance amplifies heat cycle efficiency. Sustain it." I finally gave up and sagged in her arms like a disgruntled bath towel. "This is not what I meant when I said I needed to cool off." She paused. "Cool off? It's a figure of speech." Speech figure acknowledged. "Begin cooling ritual." Before I could stop her, she lifted me up, higher this time, and pressed me against a wall panel that I'm pretty sure wasn't meant for cuddling. I groaned. "Look, I don't know what kind of species you're used to mating with, But I am 100% not flame retardant. I burn like toast. She tilted her head. Toast. Crispy food object. Symbol of successful bonding heat. I accept. Why does everything I say sound like consent to you? Because it is warm. And inviting. I nearly cried. I just wanted to deliver soup. She purred again and stroked my cheek with a finger the size of a broom handle. And now you deliver salvation. And warmth. And pheromones. At that exact moment, the emergency lights blinked red and the overhead system blared. Station overheating. Core stabilization compromised. Her eyes widened. The cycle accelerates. Full integration required. No, no, no! Let's not integrate anything! I flailed as she pulled me back into the cryo chamber, not to freeze, but to use its cooling system for what she called bonding stabilization. I said, "This is so not how I imagined my week going." She just smiled and said, "Then prepare to reimagine, Jace of Soup." I groaned. I swear, if this ends with alien babies and unpaid overtime, I'm suing someone. Saspot chimed in. Congratulations, pilot. You have officially entered a hot mess. That was the last thing I heard before her tail wrapped around my waist again, and everything went deliciously, if distressingly, warm. I woke up sticky. And not the good kind. More like trapped in a steamy sauna inside a furry constrictor snake kind of sticky. Skara was curled around me like she'd lost the user manual on personal space. Her body heat hadn't gone down. If anything, she was hotter. Literally. You are still alive, she said, voice husky, pleased. Thanks for noticing, I croaked. Wasn't sure if you were slow cooking me or just using me as a living pillow. She sniffed again. You emit optimal bonding scent. My cycle responds favorably. You say that like it's a compliment. In human terms, I smell like day-old gym socks and expired instant noodles. Potent. Aromatic. Mating significant. Right. I forgot, your species finds armpit funk erotic. Her tail twitched. You are defensive. This is adorable. I shall catalog it. I tried to roll away. No dice. She clamped down harder with thighs like industrial girders. Saspot, I muttered. Remind me never to volunteer for exotic delivery routes again. The ship's comlink buzzed. Reminder logged. Also, there's a heat anomaly in the station's coolant chamber. You appear to be the source. Not helping. Skara sat up, her armored breastplate creaking ominously, then stared at me with those luminescent eyes. You have not completed the cycle of commingling. Okay. Pause. What exactly is commingling? Please don't say what I think you're going to say. It is a deeply intimate thermal bonding where the smaller mate absorbs regulated waves of radiance from the dominant emitter. So, snuggling? With purpose. And if I don't? She blinked. Then I melt. Then you burn. Then we become ash-bound soul vapor. Together. Lovely. I sighed. Romantic death by overheating. She nodded solemnly. Most sacred of all exits. I tried logic. Look, this is a misunderstanding. Cultural collision. Happens all the time in diplomacy. I'm flattered, really, but I don't want to vaporize in your arms. She gave a low growl. You think me unworthy. I think you're a walking space furnace with a very clingy mating protocol. She paused. Then perhaps we must de-escalate the heat with friction dispersing techniques. Oh no. Yes. I don't like where this is going. You will. She shifted, and suddenly I was face to face with a wall console labeled manual vent override. She pushed a button, steam hissed out, and the temperature dropped 10 degrees. Better? Not worse. She smiled. The bonding ritual is flexible. We shall adapt. To my absolute horror, she began listing methods. Thermal braiding. Friction oscillation. Skin pore synchronization. Tail compression. I don't even have a tail. Then you will yield. For balance. At that point, I did the only thing a cornered human could do. I stalled. Okay, wait. Before we do anything, I need to eat. Human metabolism, right? We crash if we don't get protein every few hours. Very delicate system. Complex biology. She squinted. You are requesting sustenance, to fortify for union? No. I'm requesting a snack. Something non-suggestive. She considered this. My people consume energy root paste. Great. Show me to the fridge. She didn't move. Instead, she pulled a canister from her belt, cracked it open, and scooped a fistful of glowing, blue paste straight into my mouth. It tasted like spicy soap and regret. I choked. That's fantastic. So good. Definitely won't kill me. Your sarcasm is noted. Your pulse is elevated. You are preparing for coupling. I'm preparing for diarrhea. She reached out, touching my chest again. I sense you are hesitant. Is your heat suppressed by fear? Yes. That one. Nailed it. Then I shall ignite it. In your terms? Oh no. Here it came. She leaned close and whispered in a sultry, overly proud voice. Your cockpit is very small. But it handles well. I stared. What? That is how humans flirt, yes? No. I also practiced. Your thrusters are compact but reliable. I'm begging you to stop. Initiate payload. Maximum entry velocity. Seriously. Stop. But she didn't. She pulled out a ragged old data tablet and started reading off lines she must have memorized from a garbage-to-earth dating sim. Do you want to dock with my escape pod? She purred. Let's breach the atmosphere together. Activate emergency landing, because I'm falling hard. I buried my face in my hands. Who sold you that translation guide? A smuggler named Brad. He wore many vests. Of course he did. Brad said if I used these lines, my mail would be inflamed. I'm inflamed, all right. With embarrassment. She pouted. I prepared. I wanted to impress you. And for a second, I felt bad. She wasn't being predatory. She was genuinely trying. Just massively lost in translation. I sighed. Okay, look. I get it. You're running on instinct and thermal desperation. But I'm not your species. I'm a walking bag of water and anxiety. If you hug me too tight, I will pop. You are fragile. Yes. Soft. Emotionally and physically. But brave. You did not flee. Because you locked the door. She tilted her head. That is our version of engagement. Of course it is. Skara rested her enormous hand on my chest again, less hot now, more careful. Then I will delay the cycle. For now. We will synchronize slowly. I sighed in relief. Great. Thank you. Really. Let's ease into it. Maybe start with a cold shower and some boundaries. Her tail coiled softly behind me. Boundaries. Yes. But you must still remain near. To avoid flare-up. Fine. But no more mating metaphors, okay? She nodded. I turned to sit, and immediately fell onto a soft pile of what looked like ceremonial pillows, each embroidered with positions that would make a yoga instructor weep. Okay, I muttered. I'm sleeping on my side. Alone. With my dignity. Skara smiled. Then I shall sleep curled, respectfully behind you. This was going to be the longest snuggle of my life. I woke up with a mouthful of fur. Not metaphorical. Literal. Skara's tail had coiled over my face sometime in the night, like a misguided comfort blanket made of muscle and misunderstood intentions. She was purring. Deeply. The kind of purr that vibrated the bulkheads and probably disrupted minor satellite signals. You have entered third phase bonding, she murmured. I haven't entered anything. I snapped, spitting out a tuft of silver fuzz. All I did was sleep next to you. Kind of. In my culture, co-respiration during REM state confirms primary mate designation. I can't even commit to a gym membership, And now I'm designated? She uncoiled, stretching all 13 feet of absurd alien anatomy like a smug panther. Then we are close to full synchronization. I shall begin preparing for the confluence ritual. No rituals. No confluencing. Just breakfast. You wish to feast before the ritual? Wise. Nourishment enhances stamina. Stop saying things that sound like set-up lines for alien erotica. She handed me another tube of that glowing root paste. I pretended to enjoy it again. I didn't. It tasted like if toothpaste married a battery. As I chewed with the enthusiasm of a condemned man, I heard her mutter a list under her breath. Oil for the scales, ceremonial cuffs, thermobind straps. Okay, hold it. I am not consenting to thermal bondage. That's not even a euphemism, I mean literal straps. Stop unpacking them. But they're woven from the hair of our clan mothers. Very sacred. Still a hard pass. I don't do ritual cosplay with people who could bench press my entire apartment complex. She looked mildly offended. You shame the traditions of my house. I'm not shaming. I'm declining. Politely. With shaking knees. She nodded slowly. Then perhaps we require a trial of compatibility. A shared task. Yes. Task. Neutral. Great idea. No heat. No touching. Just good old-fashioned, non-suggestive, platonic problem-solving. I must repair the ship's vent regulator. It's located in the underbay shaft tunnel. Please tell me that's not another mating phrase. It is not. It is very cramped, wet, and dark. Oh, good. Just what I wanted. Moist claustrophobia. We crawled into the maintenance hatch, where the air smelled like scorched wires and bad decisions. Naturally, she wedged in first. Her hips took up the entire shaft. I may need to reverse. I don't think physics will allow that. Then you must climb over. You're literally blocking the path like a wall of living armor. Then apply friction. Slide. I refuse to rub my body against yours just to pass a tunnel. There is no other route. I groaned, then climbed over her like a confused koala, trying not to touch anything suspiciously firm. By the time I reached the control node, I was sweating again, and not from heat. Found the coolant lever. Pull it gently, she instructed. I yanked it. It snapped off in my hand. You said gently, I yelled. My concept of gentle involves tectonic restraint. We stared at the broken part, then at each other. I have tools, she offered. You also have delusions about my core temperature and emotional readiness. She passed me a glowing plasma wrench with a handle thicker than my arm. I nearly dropped it. Why is everything you own size for kaiju? We breed strong. I adjusted the pressure valve using sheer guesswork and possibly divine intervention. With a hiss, the temperature in the tunnel dropped a few degrees. For once, nothing exploded. Skara smiled. You exhibit problem-solving under pressure. A fertile trait. I'd rather be known for spreadsheet efficiency or conversational wit. She moved closer again. We are forging trust. Sweat bonding. Cramped space cooperation. That's not a real term. It is now. Back in the chamber, I collapsed onto a neutral, blanket-covered crate. She followed, now carrying what looked like a thermos carved from dragon bone. You have earned the trial tonic. I'm scared. It replenishes vital fluids lost during pre-bond exertion. Definitely scared. She popped the top and poured thick violet liquid into a stone cup. It fizzed. Then it hissed. Then it moved. Nope. I'm not drinking something that slithers. That's a line for me. It improves virility. I don't need alien Viagra. I need ibuprofen and a nap. She raised an eyebrow. Your humor shields your arousal. My humor shields my trauma. She sat beside me, very close, but not touching. For once, she seemed serious. You do not wish to bond? I paused. Honestly, part of me did. Not the weird heat cycle stuff, but her. Skara was strong, blunt, and weirdly loyal. Sure, she misread every Earth idiom and mistook physical intimacy for temperature regulation, but she tried. She wanted partnership, even if her version involved steam rituals and tail knots. I don't not want to bond, I admitted, but maybe not on the express track. She nodded. Then we engage in slow burn proximity exposure? Normal people call that getting to know each other. Maybe start with, I don't know, dinner? Her face lit up. Do you mean feed me, then breed me? I choked. Absolutely not. But it rhymed. Stop rhyming things that shouldn't rhyme. She offered me the thermos again. Then a toast. To your resistance. It makes the ritual more spirited. I took it. Sipped. Immediately regretted it. It tastes like fruit and gasoline. That means it's working. We sat in silence for a moment. Then she sighed, tail curling around her ankle. I had imagined this differently, she said quietly. Smoother. With less screaming and crawling over my backside. I gave her a look. You and me both, Heatwave. But despite everything, her size, her clinginess, her obsession with bonding, I didn't feel afraid anymore. Just overwhelmed. And mildly aroused. And maybe, just maybe, curious about what a slow-burn space romance with a 13-foot alien might actually look like. After dinner, of course. The next day, I woke up to an unexpected stillness. The air was cooler, and the ship's ambient hum had dulled. I rubbed my eyes and looked over at Skara. She was meditating? Or sleeping? Her tail flicked occasionally, like an antenna, catching the faintest of vibrations in the air. I cleared my throat. Skara? Her eyes fluttered open, her expression more serene than I had ever seen. It was like watching a giant, incredibly strong kitten who just finished a yoga session. You've been quiet. Is everything okay? She blinked a few times. The heat subsides, for now. I must meditate and prepare for what comes next. I frowned. What comes next? We're still stuck on this ship, right? Not for long, she said with a mischievous glint in her eye. The confluence ritual cannot be postponed. My people are patient, but they will not wait forever. Confluence ritual, again? I groaned, rubbing my temples. I'm not doing any bonding stuff with you, okay? Skara tilted her head, obviously misinterpreting the situation. It is not about you. It is about us. I shot her a sideways glance. It feels like it's mostly about you. She cocked an eyebrow. How can it be only about me when the heat affects you so intensely? Yeah, it affects me with a mild sense of existential terror. That's a me problem, not a we thing. She smirked. You are resistant. I respect that. But it is a sacred bonding process. All species eventually understand the need for intimate heat sharing. I choked on a breath. Can we not call it that? The correct term is thermal unity, she replied, her tone serious. The experience strengthens the bond between two souls. Or, in our case, someone's soul and someone else's sheer panic, I interjected, trying to steer the conversation back to a less uncomfortable terrain. She didn't seem fazed. Every species in my galaxy that has survived the heat cycle has engaged in thermal unity. It is as essential as sustenance. Well, I don't know about your galaxy, but back on Earth, we prefer non-invasive forms of sustenance, I replied dryly. You mock the process, but it is ancient. Efficient. Ancient? Efficient? I think I'm more inclined toward awkward and potentially terrifying. She stood up and reached toward the control panel, adjusting something. There is no need for fear. I will not force you. If you cannot handle it, then we will adapt. You are my guest. I stared at her, bewildered. I'm your guest? She nodded. You have given your time, your warmth. You are my companion until the crisis is resolved. I swallowed the lump in my throat. This is a crisis? The heat, she said, making it sound like the most logical thing in the universe. It overwhelms us. To fight it requires cooperation. I shook my head. Cooperation is fine, but not, look, I just need to get off this ship in one piece, okay? Can we skip the mating rituals? There is no skipping, she said, the edge in her voice dropping to a more gentle tone. But it need not be so rushed. Rushed? What does that mean? She stepped closer. Too close. It means I will not claim you all at once. We will take our time. We will share heat, but only as much as you are willing. The world around me seemed to go a few degrees warmer, and my throat went dry. I'm really not sure I can do this, the heat stuff. I mean, really not sure. Skara smiled, a strange, serene thing that calmed my nerves, but also made me intensely uncomfortable in the best possible way. Do not fear. The process is mutual. If you wish to return to your ship once you are healed, you may. I'm not healed, Skara, I said quickly. I'm barely hanging on here. I will protect you, she said, her voice steady. In this, we will be equals. I stared at her, half incredulous, half captivated. What do you mean, equals? You fear your role in this. I see that. But this is not an exchange of power, it is an exchange of trust. Heat will guide us, but we will both decide how far it goes. She had me there. I hadn't realized until she said it, but she wasn't the one pushing me into this situation. I was the one reacting to her species' customs, stumbling my way through confusion and unspoken boundaries. In that moment, I realized something, that maybe it wasn't just about surviving the heat or avoiding her embrace. Maybe it was about something deeper. I don't know about all this heat-sharing stuff, I said, my voice quieter. But maybe I've been thinking about this all wrong. You're not forcing me. You're just asking, right? She nodded. Yes. Asking. I rubbed the back of my neck, trying to process what I was feeling. So, what happens now? Skara smiled again, a quiet, assured smile. Now we wait. We wait? Yes. Waiting is a sign of patience. The process cannot be rushed. You will decide when you are ready. And when you are, you will let me know. I didn't know what to say. I guess I'll let you know when that happens. Good. We can wait together, she replied. I will not force you. But remember, this is not just about your fear. It is about our bond. And how we choose to share it. I nodded slowly, unsure of what the future held, but feeling something shift. Not in a way that would solve all of my problems immediately, but in a way that made me feel just a little less alone in this vast, insane galaxy. So, I said, awkwardly trying to regain some semblance of control. Should we do something? Besides, awkwardly wait for a heatwave? She gave a knowing chuckle. We could talk about your species' strange mating rituals. Or, I could show you how to navigate this ship's systems without triggering every safety protocol. Well, I said, scratching the back of my neck, I could use a refresher on that. Then let us begin, she said, sitting down next to me. Together. And for the first time since I'd boarded the ship, I actually felt okay.